Hello, welcome to the Catalyst channel. Today I have my newest friend, Julian. And he's here to talk to us today about some things that are very passionate to him. And I'm really looking forward to sharing that together with him. And I'm also really excited that he's coming to us streaming from Germany. And so 6 hours ahead of us, which is always kind of cool. So I'm kind of wanting to ask him what my future is because he's already 6 hours. Never mind. So I can't say good morning to you, Julian, but I can say good afternoon.
Yeah. Well, good morning to you, Kat. Thank you so much for having me. Hello to all the viewers. My name's Julian, aka Delaluz as my artist name, and I'm a creative. I do a lot with music. I write my own music, and I'm also a music production and creative coach, which is something I would like to share a little bit about today.
Awesome. So, okay, so you create your own music, you do music production, and then you work with the creative process, it sounds like.
Mm.
And it sounds like as you were saying that, I'm like, all of those definitely are creative. Like, how long would you say you've been creating your own music and doing production and that kind of thing? How long would you say you've been doing that?
Wow, I think it's been around 10 years now, maybe a little more, actually.
Okay.
Um, I did go to a university and studied music production for 4 years, so I do have a lot of technical background knowledge. But I think the real wealth of my knowledge is really the challenges I had to overcome on the way to where I am right now. For sure, there's always more to overcome and more to work out, but I would say I had a pretty rough start and I faced a lot of inner and outer challenges that I had to navigate. And
Okay.
exactly that knowledge is what I can bring to help other people solve the same challenges in their creative journey now.
That makes me think of that Steve Jobs commencement speech where he says, like, connecting the dots backwards. He
Mm,
understands now why he sat in that calligraphy class. And because of sitting in that calligraphy class and listening to what he wanted to do was like, I think I'm just going to go sit in and then I'm going to drop out, but then I'm going to drop into these different things. And I
right.
just feel like sitting in calligraphy. Don't know why, but I'm just going to do it because it feels like the thing to do. Steve Jobs, of all people, right? And then he finds out that by doing that, following that intuition, following his heart and that kind of thing, that because of that, looking back, so you're going to tell us about your dots, but the way you laid that out made me think of Steve Jobs because he, of course, developed the Apple computer and all of that, and we had DOS and just those block chunky letters. And as he looked at them, he was like, wait, what if we added more flair, like calligraphy? We have more font options here. So, from what I understand, he looked back and said, I don't know if I would have had that thought pattern to be like, we can have more fonts. We don't just need the block letters. And so, and then with his commencement speech that he did there, he said, you may not know why if you do follow your heart and intuition, that's small, still voice we talk about, why you're doing the things that you're doing. But if you feel what you intuitively feel, and you do that, looking back, either way, you can either do it and know you're doing it and not do it. Looking back, then you'll know why. So,
Yeah, right.
all right. So I'm interested, and I don't want to necessarily use the word excited, but it's the best word I can think of is like, or intrigued, or like a story that's about to unfold. I want to know about your dots and how you're connecting them backwards, looking backwards.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big question. Let me figure out the beginning to that. I think one of the most important parts of my journey is that I more or less started it on my own.
Ooh,
And I started it from a pure act of will, basically. So I was working in corporate and I was really not enjoying that at all. So I was just looking for other things to strive for in my life. And in the end, I just kind of decided that I was gonna do music. It's not like with other people that maybe have a very musical family or they've been in a band their whole life, they played in an orchestra. I didn't do any of those things. All I knew was how to play the recorder a little bit from school, and anything else, I couldn't read sheet music. I didn't play any instruments. I couldn't even tell the instruments in a musical recording apart. So that was already when I was about 19 when I made that decision to pursue music.
okay,
And I basically had no education and no prerequisites.
okay,
And of course, that already starts you out with a lot of negative beliefs that are proliferated in general society, like, oh, you're too old to learn an instrument, for example. That's a common one. A lot of people say, oh, I'm too old, I can't do this, I can't start. Or also, oh, I can't change my career from a certain age, I can't do this, I can't do that. So I was already from the start kind of doubting my abilities to do all of this.
okay,
And as the years went by, I kind of started to peel back the layers of that. Because at first it's general belief that I can't do it. And then there's more granular beliefs underneath that of, oh, I can't learn how to play this instrument fast, for example. That's a belief I held at a point in time.
okay,
Or um, I don't know how to write melodies, which is, it was true. It was an ability I lacked at the time, but by holding on to the belief that I just couldn't do it, I also didn't open myself to the possibility that it's something I can learn, that it's a skill I can acquire. I always thought either you can do it or you can't. But at some point, realizing that it's simply a skill that I can go through a skill acquisition to learn, opened me up to progress in that part of my creative learning journey. And all in all, it's just hundreds, if not more, of these little viewpoints we might hold that kind of limit ourselves in acquiring a skill effectively and with great enjoyment that I have identified and worked out how to turn it into a more positive view. And I really wish I didn't have to figure all of that out on my own. Like if there was someone with me that, like a teacher, a coach, a mentor that told me, oh, by the way, this thing you're believing is a wrong perception of the situation. And maybe if you could try seeing it this way, you would have an easier time learning and progressing. So We can get into the details of that in a minute, like what the different ideas and shifts in perception were.
Yeah.
But in essence, that's just the process I went through, and I think having someone there that can lead you through that can really accelerate your learning and save you a lot of frustration along the way.
All right. Well, the first thing that hooked me was you had said um, pure will was all you had. That's how you started. You had pure
Yeah,
will was all you had. But some would say that's all you need. Right? There's really almost nothing stronger than a pure will with a strong intention, right? So that hooked me. I was like, okay, now I'm going for a ride with this guy, right? And then the next thing you had said was you couldn't see or didn't see possibilities, that it was either a one or a zero or something. You know what I mean? Like, or it was just either a
yeah,
yes or a
yeah.
no or a can or a can't. And so lately I've been really excited about the word possibilities or possibility. That just that word has been really freeing to me. So I again, I'm like, okay, I'm still with this guy. Possibilities, because you looking back, connecting the dots as you're telling the story, you were like, I couldn't see the possibility that I could do this. But there again was that very strong desire, that very strong will, and you followed it. So that's the other thing is you said you were in corporate, and then but then you had that pure, I think you said pure will, I think is what you said.
I
And
did.
yeah, and so pure will, oof, you talk about pure, like that's very palpable, that those two words together. I really like the way they
Mm.
actually sound together and feel together. So you had this pure will that was like, and if I was going to think about it even more, you had this pure will to be you, to do you.
Mm.
Um, And so much so that you broke out of this, say, mold that maybe, and when you're talking about the thoughts, beliefs, right, and what you can and can't do, that maybe had been built around you, and either by you or other people kind of placing them around you, and expectations, and what you should and shouldn't do, and what you can and can't do. And so I'm like, so this the way that you've gone into this, which I'm super excited, is like hero's journey, and and that you chose you, and now you've had this whole journey, and that's led you to this point where you're like, I don't know why I want I don't I wish I would have had somebody that would have guided me, but guess what? Now I can guide other people, which you wouldn't have been able to do the way that you can do it if you didn't hadn't had taken all the steps to be true to you incrementally, because you had thrown some numbers out too. You're like hundreds or hundreds of this or hundreds of that, that you kind of had to navigate, and
Mm.
each one being a choice, possibly. I don't know. We're going to find that out. But that's the sense that I got, that you had to either make a choice or navigate in a way that felt more true, or
Mm.
whether it was difficult or not, and see, um, yeah, as you were becoming the person that you were becoming. So I'm super, super excited, because yes, I have this strong, there are things that I've done in my life, and I could actually, as I was going through them, right? For one, either I'm not going to go through these things again, so I'm going to pay attention to all the signposts along the way. And then also being very, very passionate about no one else having to go through the same thing or take the long route. Uh,
Mm,
so, and um, it also makes me think of so when you're saying like you you're now at this point where you don't want others to go through that and you want to offer that to people and you can because you've been there makes me think of Joseph Rodriguez's book where he's like you can take the flow-based path to $1 million or you can take the struggle-based path and so you're offering this in another way which is kind of cool
mm.
and it makes sense that we're all in the same right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so tell me more. This is my new favorite story now.
Mm. I will tell you more.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, um, I think we already you already touched upon a lot of the themes of what I do talk about. I also have my own YouTube channel, by the way, that I talk about these topics regularly and explore them. And if you really break it down to the most elemental thing that connects all of these things that I am talking about, it's certain orientations of awareness, basically, different ways of viewing things. It's not necessarily the things that change, it's more how you um, perceive them and you in relation to them. And by developing different perspectives, you can be more effective either in your creating or in your learning how to create. I'll give an example.
Yes.
For a while, I've been playing with this concept, which was originally formulated by Kenny Werner. He's a jazz pianist, a great musician. I suggest you check it out, check his music out. He's just um, great, very soulful player. And he started distinguishing between practice and playing when working with your instrument. And in essence, it's a different alignment of mind while you're working with your instrument. So while practicing, you have quite a narrow focus. You figure out, okay, I want to learn this, either be it a new piece or maybe a new technique. And then you break down the technique into um, the smallest manageable parts that you can work on at a time. And then you work on these parts in a very concentrated fashion. You try not to make any mistakes because when you make mistakes while practicing, you're practicing mistakes. You're not practicing the right way to do it. You're actually forming bad habits by practicing mistakes. So it's really important to first chunk your work in a way that you can concentrate in a way that you don't make mistakes. Because if you take on too much difficulty at a time, you get out of flow basically, and you practice mistakes, and then you're very concentrated on just getting it right. Now, the issue is when you then try to play your piece, for example, and you bring that same kind of focus where you're very focused on not making mistakes, on doing it right, you're gonna lose a level of expressiveness. Because there's a level of expression at the instrument which only comes from letting go, from just letting whatever comes without judging it. So in practice, you're judging very heavily because you have to do it to actually learn effectively. And then while playing, you're trying to let go of all of the judgments. And he advocates for practicing these two things separately. So you practice when you practice and you play when you play. Because there's a danger of mixing it up, and a lot of people that don't make this distinction do it. For example, they might practice a piece and then they're so taken away by the piece because it's so beautiful that they just keep playing and playing till the end of the piece. But now they're not practicing anymore because they're not focused in on little parts and not making mistakes. And the same thing with the playing. If you're trying to play, but you're um, stopping at every mistake you make and repeating that phrase and starting to practice that phrase, you're suddenly out of the playing mindset. And that's going to sneak into your performance when you're actually playing for a crowd or trying to record. So we see here that this very simple but powerful distinction of the two different ways of approaching something can net huge benefits. And then, of course, you can start transferring that knowledge. For example, I not only use that when learning my instrument, but also when writing music. There's sessions where I'm sitting down and I'm saying, okay, I'm just practicing this very particular skill right now. I'm doing a lot of repetitions. I'm trying to get the knowledge down so I can then use it when I'm playfully creating music. Because when I'm creating music, I don't want to practice because then I'll not get anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you can use that for any creative skill, for drawing, even for making videos. You can figure out what skills you want to get better at, practice them, but then when you're actually creating, you should get back into that playful mood, you know?
Yes. It reminds me of a couple of things, and one is actually three things came up for me as I was listening. One was the first thing that came up was walking, learning how to walk.
Okay.
And how like um it isn't all that sexy in the beginning. It's there's a lot of like falling with but they get back up or we get back up
Mm,
and we do it again and I'm not I'm quite sure there's a lot of concentration and a lot of deliberation because if I was to go through my memory bank of watching that go down, I can't go to my own. But if I was to go to my memory bank, but I mean it's very deliberate. It's very like uh,
mm,
even when there's a misstep, all the way down. And so that was the first thing. But now I'm not concentrating on that. I'm just walking now.
yeah.
But there has been moments where I've been like, I'll share this. There's been moments where my attention or awareness might be on my walking. It's happened a few times in my life, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I think I'm walking funny. Now I'm really walking funny. I need to stop thinking about walking right now because I now feel very aware of my walking. And yes,
I'll one up you on that. I'm
okay.
actually I like being aware of my walking. I
That's
feel like it's a skill you can continually improve on, and especially if you're very aware of walking and feeling your
yes.
body, you
Yeah.
can bring a lot of enjoyment into that. So that's where kind of um, paradoxically practice meets play in certain places, because when you have a skill
Yes.
to a certain degree, you're gonna improve on it while playing, while just experimenting and trying things.
Aw.
It's just in these early learning phases, it's really good to take the time to get your basics down, or you'll just fall all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for bringing up that nuanced point about enjoying walking because I actually am uh, now more so. When I'm walking, I do pick moments to each step is I can't explain it. It's just it's enjoyed,
Mm,
appreciated for what it is, the ability to walk. The fact that I'm walking, where I'm walking, walking with someone else or not walking. Is there animals or trees present? What are the
mm.
smells? Like really getting into. So yes, so I'm glad that you. Very good. That's yes, super impressed. So I'm glad that you brought up that nuance. And then the other thing that came up was I think it was a teacher, and I was so appreciative of the teacher um, said for writing, and they were like, just and this was like first introduction of computers, and so it was like just type. Just whatever's on your mind, just type. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about spacing. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't just whatever's in your mind, just let it come
Mm,
out and just let it dump out onto the page until you feel like everything that was, you feel fulfilled basically is what they were trying to get at, complete. So, and just let it all out. No judgment. And I don't even know if they use the word judgment. They're just like, don't think about it, just type, don't worry about anything. And then
mm.
then they're like, you can go back afterwards and edit and maybe copy this, cut, paste that, delete this, or
Yeah.
put the punctuation in afterwards, which is a different. And then it was, then that was a piece that was just on whatever that came out of me that would not have if I would have been like, okay, am I supposed to put a comma there? How exactly do I spell this? Is it I before E except after C? Like and all of that thing, or what are people gonna think, or what are people gonna say, or this is, and I've found
Yeah.
that that person. Okay, I don't know where they learned that from, that teacher, but that teacher is is like very similar to what it sounds like you want to offer people. And in that way, because now I'm able to write and then go back in afterwards and make it pretty with all the technical stuff, but the creative process is completely creative and flowing and pure. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that point because it segues really well into another observation I made a bunch of years into my creative learning journey.
Okay.
Um, so before I get into that, I just want to say what you just described
Yes.
perfectly encapsulates the idea of play, of the playful portion of the creative process, where you, without judgment, without shame, without inhibitions, you just output whatever is inside you, and that's it's a bit of a skill, but it's also just a mental attitude you have to find, an attitude to the creative process where you kind of accept what's happening without editing it at all or a lot.
So allowing it.
And allowing it to
Yeah.
unfold exactly. And the other thing that you just described is the idea of different phases within a creative process. And my favorite way to illustrate this is by mm, the idea of painting a portrait. Because when you start out to paint, you might be tempted to just start putting color on a canvas. You
Okay.
start by putting color and you do put color here and there, and then it's done, and you're kind of you you're not really happy with the result, but you also can't really explain to yourself why it didn't come out the way you wanted it to.
Right.
But then as you progress in acquiring that specific skill, you will understand that you have to go through different phases. For example, you would start by having a sketch.
Okay.
You would do a sketch with in pencil, for example, and then you might start the coloring by first doing the background or doing an underpainting even. Then you would put the base colors, and then or like you yeah, put the base colors and then you put shadows and then you put the details in last. So there's a very clear progression from start to end that you can break down. And once you follow the progression, your results are gonna just be a whole lot better and the work is gonna be so much more predictable.
Thank you for
Does
that.
that make sense?
Yes, it actually does because I have I probably have like 50 blank canvases that I can almost touch from here. And then I actually have two paintings that have been sitting on easels for, gosh, I want to say almost a year, if not a year,
Mm,
where I just got to a point, and I'm learning this about myself as well, is I got to a point where I found that I was really, really finding myself to be nervous as I was painting. It was no longer fun, or I became invested into the outcome because they're gifts, okay, and and they mean a lot to me. And I don't know how to paint, so I don't want to say
mm,
I'm learning my own way. So I see something. So as you were saying that, I'm like, yes, first the this and yes, that. So I'm learning. I'm like, oh, okay. And I got that like a painting lesson in about 30 seconds. So thank you. But so they're sitting there and like I can see them from where I'm at right now. And I walked away from them because the feeling that I was getting was not the feeling that I set out for, which initially I was like, oh my gosh. And they're beautiful as they are. They're just not finished. And
mm,
um and and I'm yeah, and like I said, I think I've only painted well two full things, and then these are two things that are just sitting there like particularly things that I've done. I mean, I've done finger painting and watercolors for fun or whatever, but this is like creating it. And so I walked away from it, both of them, because I got intimidated. I started having expectations. It wasn't coming naturally to me and it just didn't the work wasn't the work what I was doing, the experience wasn't the same as when I first started, so I stopped. And
mm,
I wouldn't say I look at them every single day, but I do look at them about once a week, and I'm like, I'm gonna finish those. I'm gonna finish those. I'm gonna finish those. But I gotta be in the right, I guess, frame of mind or
mm.
looking at it in the a different way. So, because I'm also in this place now where I'm not gonna deliberately do something from a negative, whatever, disempowered place where or force like I've got to finish it. It's been there for a year.
Mm,
It's like I'm holding myself and being like, there's gonna come a day that you're gonna feel okay about this, Catherine, and you're going to sit down and enjoy finishing this and these things that you've created. So I'm glad that we're talking about that as well.
yeah. Do you want to do a little bit of work around that and figure out how you maybe can approach it from a place that's more flow-based?
Absolutely, I would love that because there was the first two paintings I did because I'd wanted to paint for a while, right? And the first two paintings I did, I was in such a state, they came out perfect. Just
Mm.
perfect. I was amazed. I'm like, what? That came out of me? And then these ones, but I think maybe if I was going to be honest, those two were for me, but the next two were gifts. And so the frame changed, and I'm going to be giving this to someone. I want this to be something that they enjoy having. And so the dynamic changed. The first two were for me,
Mm.
fun, and then these two are gifts or representation. Yeah. So
Okay, I got you. Mm. I think one good uh, point of view that you could adopt is that not every creative project has the same level of ease. With every project, as you've observed, there come new challenges. For example, here, as you articulated well, is the challenge is that it's now for other people, and you're trying to maybe fulfill certain expectations for those other people. And I think there's a few good questions you could ask yourself. For example, you could ask yourself, which is a bit negatively focused, but you can turn it around
it's
once you have an
okay.
answer,
It's okay.
which is what are you afraid of the other person not liking is the first thing, because maybe that's unconscious
Okay.
and it could be interesting to bring some light to it.
Okay.
And then
Um,
about, do you want to answer it now or
yeah,
should I?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that I know that the person that I would be giving them to would love and adore them and respect them no matter what. That they just love me to
Mm,
pieces. And yes, and they also do art of their own. So for that, I know that they would absolutely love and adore it no matter what, because they know what it's like to go through this process as well. They've been doing it for years.
mm,
But I
okay.
think it's for me, I want it to meet my expectations because I have a way that I want it to look.
Mm,
And it means a lot to me for it to look the way I want it to look. I think that no matter what, that person would absolutely love and adore them. But there is a little part that'd be like, even if they saw the flaws, they would still love and adore them
right.
because they love and adore me. Um, so, um, so that's that. I think it's more me wanting
Mm,
to be have expectations of how it's going to come out the way that I want it to come out, more
mm,
so than me being worried about what they would think. And and if I was going to go all the way, it's something that I want them to want. Okay, so this is even further. It's something that I want them to enjoy, um, and and keep and like having on their wall.
right.
And not
Yeah. Of
just doing it out of
course.
obligation. That's the other
Yeah.
part of it. Okay? That's as honest
Yeah.
as I
I
can
get
get.
it. Okay. That's a great insight that it's more about you wanting to do your best and
Mhm.
not that much about the judgment of the other person.
Right.
In the end there, it did seem like it is a little bit about their judgment because
Yep.
you said that they're gonna adore it, but then you worried that they're gonna put it up out of obligation.
Sure.
Mm,
That's as
maybe
honest.
you're not 100% sure on that,
Yes.
which is something you could just feel out
Okay.
the coming days. I
Okay.
mean, all in all, we're not trying to find the answer here. We're just asking some questions so they can work
Okay.
in the coming days and weeks. Maybe while you look at the painting, maybe while you in the shower or before you fall asleep. You know how it works.
It's funny that you
Um,
bring up the shower. I have some great thoughts when I'm in the shower.
Yeah, it's very relaxing. For me, it's kind of the sound. It's a very nice auditory experience. It's warm. It smells great. It's amazing. Very
So,
flowy experience.
yeah, sometimes I wonder if it isn't because thoughts are energy or electricity or whatever, if that makes any sense. And we know that energy and electricity is attracted to water. So sometimes I'm like, I wonder if I'm getting these amazing thoughts because I'm drenched in water and now I'm a better conduit and relaxed and it smells good and all of
Yeah, yeah, who knows? It might
that.
be. It's a beautiful thought, that's for sure. Very magical. The other thing I wanted to invite you to is it's actually two things. One thing is allowing yourself to accept the artwork, which means accepting the state it's in and accepting the level of skill it has of like technical skill you can bring to it.
Okay.
And in the same vein, accepting your level of technical skill right now. Because you're not a professional painter,
No.
you're an amateur and you're only gonna get it to a certain level of technicality. And
Oh,
by not projecting an unrealistic expectation, but enjoying and celebrating what you can do, you can find the enjoyment even in a more challenging phase of the creative process.
wow. I already do. You saying that to me and then bringing that into perspective is like, it's not like I'm Picasso or Kincaid or something like that. In been doing this years. Yeah, all right, yeah, and celebrate the fact that I can do it, even to the granular parts. Like, I can get a canvas. I have all the colors. I have the time to be able to do it. I have the ability to be able to do that, and it is only my fourth painting ever.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, be easier on myself like I would be like a little kid. If a little kid was painting and it was their fourth painting and I'm like, "What the heck? What is wrong with you?" That would be just that would be unrealistic. So,
Yeah,
okay, that actually is very nice. I actually feel a lot better.
that's great to hear.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about it. I'm being easier. I've taken myself, I call it like the whipping post when I can see a situation where I've just kind
Mm,
of like, and I'm able to take myself off and look and be like, oh man, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not horrible. You're doing great. You've only done
yeah.
four paintings. Like, it's okay. You're actually doing a great job. So thank you. I call that taking myself off the whipping post.
Mm,
So you've helped me to facilitate. I'm not there anymore whipping myself.
great.
I'm accepting myself and even celebrating myself in a little bit about it, in a way about it. So thank you.
Right, great, great. And just other things you can do, you don't have to, and maybe just by hearing it, it will just arise naturally. Um, One technique when you get stuck with something like this is asking yourself, uh, like, what's missing? What do I still want on the canvas? That kind of orients your mind in a way where you're not looking at what's there and wondering, why isn't this not complete? But you're trying to steer your mind in a way where you start imagining the things you would still like to have on there.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. It's sort of like the sports people have been doing this for a while. They'll imagine themselves crossing the finish line, or they'll imagine themselves making the basket or whatever, and
Yeah.
and then they're closer to that. So I can I'm looking at them right now. Okay, okay. I'm starting to like imagine or visualize or see or allow possibilities to show up that I wasn't
Mm.
before. I was seeing all the blocks and all the negatives as I was looking at them like, and now I'm like, oh, well, it could be like this and it could be like that and maybe kind of sort of or what if. So you've opened my eyes up, my mind up, my thoughts up to the possibilities of it being beautiful the way that it is and beautiful no matter what. And that is beautiful that I'm doing it no matter what. So,
Yeah, and you can enjoy what I like to do is I like to enjoy the new ideas I have while I'm doing it. Because with every project, there's new things you try and new things to learn. And I
okay.
really celebrate that. Like when I come up with a new idea and I try it and it sounds great, I'm like, wow, this is something I've never done before. And it's so much fun and it creates all of these emotions. And I really ride that high. I don't just let it pass by like it's no big deal, but I celebrate it. So I'll invite you to do that as well. And
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't have to be every project, but when it happens, it's great to be aware of it.
Thank you. I think that's going to help me to look at things that I'm doing or not doing. And yeah, and enjoy the I guess the doing and the learning, even the whatever, and the ability. Just I like thinking about just that I'm able to do it or that I am doing it because
Mm,
because there is, say, a version of me or a choice of me that decided not to even try. So just the fact that I am moving forward with something that I desire to do or want to do and that I have a vision for, um, yeah, is something
yeah,
to celebrate.
thank you for that. That's not something I'm regularly aware of, but you're right. Even just starting a project is very rewarding in that sense. Yeah.
While yeah, yeah. I think sometimes, like for myself, there's a lot of things that I want to do. I have a lot of ideas, like a lot.
Mm,
And so as I'm thinking about it, like there's a lot of ideas and there's some that I get fired up on and then I don't do anything with them. And then there are some that I'm really fired up and I start them and maybe I don't finish them. I'm learning how to finish things I've started. Um, because if I was as I'm thinking about like things now, some there have been, I mean, I don't know if I could put a number on it, but maybe like I get really fired up. I'm like, oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? What about this? And I would say that I kind of, when we talk about those thoughts that you were talking about, and the little choices along the way that got you to where you are, that it's almost like this other part of me thoughts or whatever come in and be like, you can't do that, you can't do that, or that's this, or it's already been
mm.
invented, or that's going to take too much time, or you don't have the skill, or you don't have the money, or, and it could be in a matter of 3 minutes, super pumped up about an idea, and then in 3 minutes time,
Yeah.
But and there are other things that I've started that I haven't finished, and like I'm thinking of other things. I'm very like creative, I guess, and like make like there's a set of wind chimes that I'm working on,
Mm.
and I wanted to make it with shells that I got in different places and stuff like that. And I got a little Dremel tool, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make a little hole through. It broke.
Oh.
Okay, all right, I got another one. I'm just gonna make a little hole here. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just, and I had grown bamboo and I was using bamboo with it and that I had
Mm.
and shells that I found and stuff. So I was like, this is just going to be so magical when it's done. And I'm so excited about it. And because it felt intimate to me. And then, like I said, it just kept breaking, and I was like, so now it's all in a box, just waiting for me to, do that again.
Mm.
So, hmm. hmm. Well, anyways, you've got me thinking of my half-finished product projects or the things that
Mm.
I've creatively wanted to do that I've just kind of put off and looked at in a hopeless way or a helpless way or a discouraging way. And this conversation and these thought patterns have led to me being like, you could go pick that back up again. Give that a, you're not the same person that set it down. You're now a different person
Mm.
picking it back up. What else can we do? And so I think I'm gonna pick that back up again as well because there's something, at least for myself personally, there's something about seeing those half-finished projects that is discouraging and disappointed in myself for not having finished them. Uh,
Mm.
so I feel like I'm inspired now to do these things, not just to finish them and be done with them, but continue on with the same passion as when I first picked them up and playfulness as you've described and being easy on myself and seeing the possibilities and allowing for that and enjoying the fact. I mean, I have shells that I picked up from all different areas. Like I have some stones that because I'm not supposed to do this, but I did bring some little rocks back from Germany. Just saying.
Mm.
It's because I like to create little things but I have these shells from different areas that I've picked up. And how lucky am I to have these shells from right and have had bamboo and then the tools to be able to do this and the time to be able to do right.
Mm.
Yeah, and I feel like as I'm thinking about these different things that I've just kind of put in totes or put in boxes and slid away or sat on easels, with a different kind of seeing them in a negative reminder, like, oh, I still gotta, oh, I never did finish that. Oh, I never did finish that. I'm seeing it in a different way now, and I feel like it's going to be freeing to finish them and soothing and therapeutic to allow myself to finish them and allow myself to be happy that I finished them, but not because well, yeah, part of it's the finishing because there was a strong
Mm.
desire to do them and finish it, but the accomplishment, I feel like it's going to be, it's going to feel really good when it's going to be a different feeling than I feel now when I think about them. It's going to feel really good to have them
Mm.
complete. So, so thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm thinking whether there's something I still want to share.
That's okay.
Do you have any questions right now?
Um, Okay, so you took me through. Do you feel like you took me through everything that you would take me through? Like, because you're wanting people, um, your vision or your desire is to help other people to come through their creations or their awareness or their thoughts
Mhm.
or skip all the steps. Maybe not all the steps, right? But benefit from the steps you've taken to where you are now.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Does it look like what we just did in maybe part and parcel? Is there other elements that you would bring into it? Is like and do you have are you able to help with I want to say almost blocks in some ways is
Mm,
what I'm sensing is blocks, identifying the blocks, releasing the blocks. That's what I'm sensing, and releasing ourselves from the block is
mhm.
what I sense that you helped facilitate for me here. But what would do you have like a particular topic or subject, or is it just anything? What would that look like? Let's say I was a new person and I came to you and I was like, hey, you know what? I really would like to benefit from your journey. What does that look like? And how would this go forward from here?
Right. Thank you for that question. It's a very concise one. And if I would start working with a new client, I guess the first thing I would always try to figure out is what they want out of the coaching. Like, why are they here? What are their goals? And then, depending on how clear they are on their goals, we might do some work around that, figure out what they actually want to achieve, what kind of experiences they want to have. Because there's people that want to be creative just for fun, and they're not having that much fun, and they're trying to figure out like, hey, why can't I enjoy this? Why do I get blocked in this process? Um, so we can work with that and figure something out. Or if someone says, I really have this dream of being professional in this craft, we can see, okay, what does that entail? What kind of research are you gonna have to do to scope out the journey and what you will have to learn and practice in order to get there?
Okay.
And then once the goal is more clearly defined, we would diverge the focus a little bit, where on the one hand is the figuring out of the technical skills that are required, like I just said, scoping out, gaining a map of what actually needs to be done. Because once you have that, you can actually focus in on different things. You can start at the beginning instead of just blindly trying things and hoping that you will progress, which is something I did for a long time because I didn't even know what I needed to learn to get better at my craft.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, it's if we look at it from a very high level, it's all identity work. It's figuring out like, okay, how do I see myself? How to do I see myself in relation to this process of learning, in relation to the process of creating? How do I relate to my instrument, to my canvas, to my artwork, to my process? It's all of these different viewpoints that can be refined in order to make life easier, basically. And everybody has different things that kind of different hang-ups that hinder them at flowing with this journey. And um, I mean, there's a lot of different tools. There's the pyramid. I've forgotten its name at the moment.
The
Uh,
DILTS logical
Dilts.
model.
Yeah, yeah, it's the
Okay.
logical levels. Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
um, where you can figure out the different levels. Like maybe your workspace is really cluttered and you're not a person that works well with a cluttered workspace. And that's also a part of it, figuring out what works for you. Because there's people that work better in the morning, work better in the evening, that work better in 8 hour sessions once a week or 1 hour sessions every day. You gotta explore a lot around how you want to do things. And yeah, that's also part of the identity work, the kind of mental inwards work. And I guess depending on how deep the client wants to go, I would also just figure out how much coaching they want to do. Because obviously, the more you do, the deeper you can go, the more you can explain big concepts and then kind of break it down bit by bit for the client. But if they're just looking to do a session or two, I would just go into a specific problem like we just did and figure out, okay, what are some quick wins, some easy ways of changing how you relate so you can have the success that you're looking for.
So you could do like a spot clean.
Yeah,
If someone and came in and was like, if they had the maybe the wherewithal to be like, you know what, I'm noticing I have projects that are half finished and I don't know why. Uh,
right. Yeah.
and then you would go with them and be like, well, let's take a look at that. And like we did together. So kind of like a spot
Mm,
cleaning of the mind, I guess.
yeah.
And then other ones could be like, all right, I'm looking to maybe something bigger. We say bigger. Perceive
Yeah.
bigger. Relativity. You could help someone with that. So um let's so is it all talking it out like we did? Or is there other practices that are involved? Do you give people homework or and yeah, or is it through conversation? And then
Mm.
like how does that work?
A lot of it is through conversation. Um, I do like to give exercises as well. For going in your mind to the last experience you had where you had a negative experience or a flow restricting experience
Okay.
and figuring out what happened step by step. Like what sensory data was presented, how did you interpret it, how did you judge it, and like really slowing down that process that's happening in that moment to figure out where the disharmonious state of mind is occurring, where you're choosing something that's affecting you negatively. And a similar thing you can do as a homework exercise as well. You don't have to do it in memory. You can just, next time you go into a creative process, be aware of a time when you're experiencing difficulty and just pausing and looking at, okay, what is happening right now? Why am I experiencing the difficulty? And once you learn a few reframes that are useful in these situations, it becomes easier and easier to deal with these moments. And of course, then it turns into a habit where you, every time you experience difficulty, you, instead of, as you said, forcefully trying to deal with it,
Okay.
you take a moment, you look at it, and you're trying to change the meaning to something that's more accurate and positive.
Thank you. I like that. The thing that keeps coming up for me as we're talking is that the know thyself, the statement, know thyself, keeps coming up for me as you're speaking. And then a couple things as you were talking about, like uh, giving people the reframe tools that, for one, for first thing, know thyself and know what's triggering you, I guess so that would be, or changing your trajectory from maybe going this way to this way all of a sudden based on thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, or whatever. Helping people to become aware of that, or helping people, empowering people to be able to do that for themselves as well, recognize it. And definitely the word granular is coming in for me as well, like going really drilling down deep to these thoughts. And then what came to me was like fourth grade, which was like that little train that could, like, so like I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think that was a reframe for me when I would be
Mm,
in, when I was a little kid and I was running into something that I couldn't do, and it felt like too big or whatever. I'd be like, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can, choo choo. And so it's kind of like continuing on with that. There was other ones like another saying that I got in fourth grade. I had an excellent teacher, Mrs. Springer, and oh, I love her. And she actually reached out to me, and she remembers me.
oh,
And
nice.
yes, she's like, I remember you as the little freckled girl, and other things as well, like spirited little freckled girl or something.
Mm,
And so, another thing, like if at first you don't succeed, try again. I learned that. And then I learned the funnier way, which is if at first you don't succeed, fry a hen. So, but it's when you say it just starts coming, it starts to
mm,
come naturally. When I heard that when I was a little kid, it really did help me. Um, in my little kids experience through things. And then another one that I remember is they put these are like really quick ones, but these are the tools that you're offering is to identify them and empower people with them. So I really like this because for myself personally, it's relating it to that is helping me to see the value of what you're offering. So another one is like everyone puts their pants on one leg at a time, right? I'm sure now someone's jumping into both legs at the same time just to prove it, but like yeah. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but but like the commonality that there's nothing more special about another person than another person. And
mm,
was another thing when I would look out and say be intimidated by someone, or see a person and be like, well, that's just them. They can do that. I can't. Or if I felt that like intimidation was probably the biggest one where that one came in handy for me was like, well, so if someone was intimidating me, they went, I don't think so because I'm just as, I do the same thing you do. So that did help me. So I really like the idea of putting the two together and seeing that this is what you're offering and that it does become automatically how your brain will work because I've experienced that once you accept
mm,
that in as a truth, it becomes another option or possibility or even way to think. And those three things for me, just those three things for me, have really made an impact on me moving forward when I could have stayed stagnant. It just, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Okay.
mm.
So I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And those things, or they put their pants on the same way you do, and be like, those three things throughout my growing up, the think I can doesn't come up anymore. But but maybe I should bring it back into rotation.
You should, you should.
And then if at first you don't succeed, try again. Um, yeah, it's really got me thinking. And it also made me spin off and think about the things that I've heard that maybe did the opposite, like 50% of marriages end in divorce, right? But if they did
Mm,
that and say 50% of marriages don't, that sounds totally different, right? But I'm thinking of like things like little programming things like you spoke of, like why do you think like this? Why do you feel like that? Or what is coming up for you? Yeah, we do get a lot of statistics and a lot of beliefs um, handed to us, I guess you'd say, or come into our experience that we may have adopted from, say, one experience where maybe it was applicable, but now applying it to other things, saying, well, last time I did this, it was like that, and not even know it, just
mm,
anticipating, expecting, and even allowing it. It's just the
yeah.
way it is. You hear that? That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Right? So I think there's, I don't know, things to accept and things maybe not to accept um, in different
I
ways.
think, which is something I want to tag on the end here, because this is something I've only figured out to the degree I'm at right now very recently.
Okay.
And that would, for example, be something I would work on with someone if we did a lot of coaching over a longer span of time,
Okay.
is the fact that we choose everything we accept.
Right.
And that's kind of we disempower ourselves really quickly by saying, "Oh, I can choose how I see this, but that this other thing is it just is a way, and there's nothing to change." But you can always change the way you view things,
Yes.
and it's a bit difficult because sometimes the mind kind of rebels against that, and it's throwing up smoke screens and different reasons why that can't work. And I always say it's a bit of a knack to figure it out. But once you find that place within yourself where you can really recognize that you just have to decide that things are the way they are, and then they are the way they that I decide until I change my mind, it really opens up so much freedom and possibility. For example, just while doing this podcast, I noticed within myself that I was kind of accepting that this is just another thing I do. But then I changed it and I said, no, this is going to be a great success. This is going to be really good for me. This is going to reach a lot of people and really bring my career forward and just bring so much positivity with it. And I don't know objectively that that's true, but I decide that that's true for me right now. And that really changes the way I engage with you, with the material, with this situation. And that's a really high level of self-mastery, realizing that you always choose how you see something that has happened, is happening, or is going to happen. And when you practice that, really, like anything opens up because all of these processes that we talked about are super valid. But when you get to this point, you can have an issue with a project or a painting, and you can just say, no, this is going to be great, and accept that. And then you don't have the issue anymore. But like I said, it's a little bit finicky. It's a bit of a knack. The mind sometimes doesn't really want to do that. So it takes a bit of work to find that place within oneself.
Yes. How exciting, by the way. How exciting. You're actually a natural it's at doing this. And so definitely a great service. And I trust and know that those who are wanting this, thinking about it, desiring this, will be benefit from this. I think everyone could actually benefit from this. Everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great, great service. So thank you.
Thank you for having me once again.
Of course. I feel like this is a great spot to part ways.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Yeah, I feel like I feel complete. I feel fulfilled.
Me too.
I feel like we did what we're supposed to do. So wonderful co-creation here. All right. Well, until next time, my friend.
Until next time, talk soon.
Of course. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.